Greetings! EricTheCarGuy here. You know, part of being a mechanic is shedding blood. Get used to it. So not only dirty, but get bloody. Actually, don't get bloody. I'd rather you didn't hurt yourself. Not on my account anyway. Once again, more requests. And I love it when I get a chance to fill them because, like I often tell people, I really have no control of what comes into the shop, but when their particular problem comes into the shop, I will do what I can to make a video on it. Here we are. And today, dear viewers, we are going to be replacing clutch hydraulics on this 1996 Honda Civic DX. Honda clutch hydraulics, famous for leaking. And if they fail, what happens is you go to push on your clutch pedal, it'll go to the floor, and it will stay there. So if you can just do a quick inspection and take a look to see if you have the issue that this car does, then you can possibly prevent yourself from having that problem and being stuck someplace that you don't want to be. So rather than me talking, let's start doing. All right, now step one is to do an inspection. So this is the clutch pedal. Follow the clutch pedal up and look what you find. Ew. And that's how it starts. And eventually it gets to a point, like I said, where the clutch pedal will just go to the floor and stay there, and that'll be that. But if you see this, it's time to replace the clutch hydraulics. Now, how would you like to see a nice little trick to give you a lot more room underneath the hood? You would? Okay, let me show you. All right, when you lift up the hood and you go to put your prop rod in, you got this nice little arrow here that says put it inside this hole. Don't listen to that. Now, somebody's already, usually this washer hose is in there like that. Take the washer hose out and then go to this hole. Now look at that. Check out the big brain on Brad. Well, now you got plenty of room. And lots more of my light gets down in there so you can see what I'm doing. That same trick works on Integras too, by the way. This is your brake master cylinder. This is the clutch master cylinder. Well, this is the reservoir for the clutch master cylinder. The clutch master cylinder is actually down here. It's this line coming out of it. And it's a very simple system. The reservoir has a rubber hose that leads down to the master. Then the master has this metal line that comes out of it that snakes around the firewall and comes down to here in the front. And this guy that actually works the clutch fork is the slave cylinder. Me, I'm the type of guy that doesn't like to have problems in the future. So whenever I replace the clutch master, I also replace the clutch slave. Hence, we are here to replace both today. Now me, I'm the type of guy that likes to start with the hard stuff first. You'll see right here, there is a cotter pin that runs through where the clutch pedal is. I'm going to, and I can usually do this with my fingers to start with, remove this cotter pin and get one side worked around like this. That's about where the battle is over. Normally, this is my preferred position with my left arm to get up in there rather than with my right. But with my left arm, I'm able to, and the important thing is to bend the cotter pin straight. The straighter you can make it, the more it's going to come out, because once you got the ends down, it usually comes out fairly easily. Because luckily, well, in most cases, there's very little rust. So I'm going to go grab my pair of pliers and pull this out the rest of the way. I'm just going to grab the head and pull it down. This is, in my opinion, the hardest part of the job. Once you get over this, it's nothing. All right, yeah, you probably didn't see that, but once I got a hold of the end, I was able to just yank it out. And believe it or not, that's probably the hardest part of this job. Okay, now the next step is to get that pin out of there. And to do that, now that the cotter pin's out, all you need to do is push. And then pull. And there you got it. Keep all that stuff together. And now you're completely disconnected from your pedal. Let me just pull this electrical connector out of the way for you so you can see a little better. Next thing I do is I will remove these two fasteners that hold the reservoir. to the strut tower. And I'm just setting these up on the cowl when I'm done. Now I can move this reservoir around a little bit and gain access to this, which is the line itself. I highly recommend you use a line wrench. That's what this is, and this is an awesome one. See how thick this is? This is great because it doesn't flex or anything. So you could even use the open end of this sometimes to break things loose. But particularly on any kind of line that you ever work on, always use one of these wrenches. See how it makes contact with more than one side? And once you've got it broken loose, so what? You can just run it out like this. And I'm doing this specific and not loosening inside the car for a reason, because if you loosened it inside the car first, that would make it so that when you broke this loose, it wouldn't be so easy. Okay. Spun that out. Now we're loose. Now let's go inside the car. Oh, yeah. Probably not a bad idea to throw a pan underneath here because obviously there's going to be some drippage. I'm going to throw this pan under to catch any drips. Now we're about to go back under our dash. I'm using this setup here to get those two 12s that are on the firewall. It's been mentioned in the past Hydro Boost video, where I was also up underneath the dash doing something similar to this, that if you took an old O-ring and put it over the outside of this universal, it would make it so it's not so floppy and easier to get up in there. I haven't tried it, but you know, it's been suggested. You might want to try it yourself. Okay, got two fasteners. One here. Whoops. And one here. I just do the rest with my fingers. Sometimes that happens. Now what you probably just saw is that nut just went down in behind here, but these little plastic things here just screw off, unscrew, just take that off, and you can, there's another little one down here. Take that out, make things a little bit easier. There we go. Just needed to come up. And there's our nut that we dropped. Not fun. Experience has taught me that if you drop something in there once, it might happen again. So wait till you're done with the job before you go back. Now that you've taken those fasteners off, you can remove the master. It's by pushing down and pulling back and pulling it out. Ta-da! Keep it away from the paint. Brake fluid ruins paint. Now this little rubber gasket that stayed here, I'm going to leave here, but it may come off with everything. Keep it. The new one won't come with a new one. Here's our new master cylinder as compared to the old. And it looks like this came in loose, which means we're going to have to do the adjustment, which is kind of good because you get to see how to do the clutch adjustment on this. But since there's no threads showing here, and I have no idea if these two rods are the same length, so it really doesn't matter. But just for the heck of it, I'm just going to try to put this in roughly the same position as the old one. And I'm not going to tighten it down because I'm going to need to adjust it anyway. Remove these plugs. Set that guy aside. Now I'll go ahead and take this hose off. But here's the next step that I'll do, because watch this. Look at that. Is that some yucky stuff or what? I'm just going to go with a can of like regular brake clean and clean the inside of this out till basically what this is the rubber components. They break down after a while and turn into this goo. I'm going to try to get all that goo out of there. It's the maid's day off and it's garbage day, so don't get mad. Or don't get on me too bad about my dirty shop, because after tonight it'll be clean. And then I'll spray some through the hose. And I'll do this early on in the process so that has time to evaporate and get out of there before I do anything, but it looks better already. Sometimes I even go in with a rag, but be careful with that because those little pieces of rag might get down in there. And I don't know if that would cause a problem or not, but I'd rather not have it than have it. By the way, here's another look at that master. See where it was leaking there. Yucky. Okay, sometimes I forget to hit the record button. Doesn't happen often, but it happened here. But what I wanted to explain to you, and what I did explain to you without the camera recording, was that what you want to do now when you first insert the master into the firewall is you want to get the line threaded in first. This way it will keep you from cross-threading it to start with. If not, could be a problem. Looks like we're headed in the right direction. You can go ahead and pull it up through, and then you can put your pin in, which I'm going to do right now. Might have to push the clutch pedal in a little bit to get it to catch. And then once you've got it through like that, just pull the clutch pedal up and it'll pull it the rest of the way in. You can now reinstall the cotter pin. If you can find the hole. Once you've got it through, what you need to do at that point is just bend it over. It's not going anywhere. You can just bend the ends around. You can now go ahead and reinstall these fasteners. One trick I'll do is I'll tighten this outer one first, since it's easy to get to. And then I can run this inside one down all the way by hand and then tighten it up. Now for the easy part. Now that it's tightened down on the inside, you can come out and tighten up the line. That should be good. You can reinstall your reservoir. Alright, hope you kept your 10mm line wrench handy. Want to break the line loose first. You can probably hit this with a little penetrating oil before you get started. But most of the time I don't normally have issue here. Now I'll go ahead and take this little rubber off because I like to make sure that that stays on there. If not, dirt and stuff can get down in there if you ever have to bleed this again. So I always try to make sure I install these. So I don't know if the new one's going to come with it, so I'm going to set this aside for later. Now there's just two 12s down the front here. You got one here and one here. I will loosen them both. I won't take one all the way out. I'll make sure they're both loose first. It's just better that way. One, two. And then you can just grab it, pull it off. Try to take the boot and everything with it. There is your prize. Now before installing the new one, I will do two things. And I've done this based on my experiences in the past. I will take this and push it in a couple of times. First I'll take this out. But I'll push this in a few times because this one is a little springier than normal. Sometimes that seal isn't ready to go, and pushing it in works it a little bit. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll take a little bit of anti-seize and I'll put it right on the end there. And I do this because you ever get a squeaky clutch pedal or squeaky activation of the clutch, a lot of times it's because there's rust between this and the shift fork. So I just put that little bit of anti-seize there, about that much, before I install it, and life is good. Now, since you're going into here blind, I'll show you a little trick in a minute, but it's important once again to get your line started first before you tighten anything down. And like in this case, you may have to move it a little bit, but you want to make sure that line does not cross thread. That would be a very bad day indeed. Might take two hands. Might take a couple of attempts. Okay, that's got a good start on it. And you can feel inside this boot if it's headed in the right direction or not, because you definitely want it to sit inside. There's a little cup inside here that you want to make sure that it hits that receiving end. If it doesn't, you won't have a clutch. It won't work. Now you can reinstall your fasteners, which in this case, this one's got a lot of spring force working against me. And as you can see, that one's not in there right. I'll say this, when it comes to Hondas, if you can use OE parts, whenever possible, use them. Because some of the other parts are not as good. But the OE parts, kind of expensive. And this part will probably be the trickiest part, since you have to do it blind. But I think we've got it now. Okay, now you got those tight, tighten up your line. And then go ahead and crack the bleeder loose. These are usually 8mm. Just like to crack that guy loose. Find a comfortable space to swing the wrench, because you're going to need to open and close this several times. Now, the famous soda bottle bleeder. Some of you may be familiar with my soda bottle with aquarium tubing and a little piece of vacuum line for my bleeder. This helps because it stays immersed, and any air usually stays in the line and doesn't stay in the system. So just you can use this for brakes or clutches. And I'm just gonna bring this one down in here, just put it right there on the end. That's all I've got to do. So this way I've got an open and a close. Go ahead and top off the master with some fresh fluid. And keep that handy, because that's going to go down quick. Alright, start by opening the bleeder. And then go into the car. Then you push the clutch pedal down, leave it down, and then tighten it outside. Then close it off. Then you come back in and pull it up. And repeat. And repeat. Until you get a clutch pedal. A pressure bleeder would make things a lot easier right now. Or a buddy. But if you don't have either, keep doing it. And what you're looking for is when you start to see the fluid in the master cylinder move, you're getting close. Okay, after a considerable amount of effort, it's finally bled out. And there's fluid coming out of the slave cylinder. Now, I'm going to show you real quick how to do the adjustment. And then we'll be done with this video, because I'm tired. I want to go home.
Okay. Now this rod, remember I left that nut loose? Spins. And it will change the length of the rod. And what you want to do is you want to turn it so it goes out until it just touches, until you just start to feel some resistance. So you turn it, and then you feel the resistance, and then it'll stop. Then back it off just like a hair. So turn it till it stops, and then back it off. Because you don't want the clutch to be partially applied all the time. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to make the rod just basically seat in to the master. And once it is, you'll be able to activate the clutch, but not have the clutch applied all the time. That feels about right there. And keep in mind, you want that little bit of slack in there so that when it heats up, it'll be able to take up the slack. And then once you've got the adjustment made, tighten it up a little bit, and you're done. You can try it out. Ooh, that works nice. Sweet. All right, and that wraps that up.
Okay, well, that seemed harder than it needed to be. But if you have a friend, a vacuum bleeder, a pressure bleeder, any number of those things will make your life so much easier. But if you have to do it by yourself, well, good luck and get lots of exercise. It's good for you. Good for me anyway. I can stand to lose a couple pounds. I hope this information was helpful. Comments and suggestions are always welcome below. If you do watch this video and you do have a question, perhaps you should check the comments below, because many times I end up answering the same question twice. Or maybe a better way to say that would be, maybe your question has already been answered and you can find it in the comments below. That sounds much more optimistic, don't you think? You can always visit me at EricTheCarGuy.com, or find me on Facebook, or follow me on Twitter. Lots of my tweets tell you when I'm here at the shop doing this kind of stuff, so you may get the heads up on when new stuff's coming down the pike. Anyway, I am Eric the Car Guy, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty, all that, and all that. Enjoy. See you.